If you're anything like me, you likely noticed the decrease in performance with the Season 3 Warzone update. You likely noticed things like more jitter or stutter in-game, a decrease in your FPS, and then obviously the server issues, but we can't really help out with that today. And even if you're a console player, there have been a lot of new settings added that will either increase your movement, increase your visibility, and more importantly, there's one specific to snipers that just got added. It's been a few months since I've done a graphics settings video. It's time to renew. Go through step by step and make sure, because a lot of times with these updates, things change. I've had aim assist settings change. I've had graphics settings change. Literally from one of those, update requires restart, stuff gets changed. So go through, if you haven't in a while, step by step, let's go through and revamp our game. But there's one other way we can revamp our game, and that is with the sponsor of today's video, Asus ROG, with their Strix Scar gaming laptop. Look at the gameplay in the background, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This is me playing on a laptop with 1440p, high settings, no other optimizations in terms of like tuning or going into my Windows settings. This is out the box with a up to 13th gen i9 and an up to a 4090. This has a 4080 mobile chip inside of it, and it's crushing it. Okay, keep in mind, this is a 240 hertz display, mini LED, 1440p, all packed into this super narrow package. But don't let it fool you, because I already mentioned it's got the powerful specs, but on top of that, it also has their intelligent cooling system, which not only uses liquid metal on both the CPU and GPU, it uses a tri-fan system on top of it, and it is whisper quiet. All this together means that you're not going to have any thermal throttling, and most importantly, as you see in the gameplay in the back, there's not going to be any harsh 1% lows where you're noticing these hard dips and stutters. It may not be as fully performant as a full-up gaming PC like I have with my 4090 Strix inside of my gaming PC, but for a laptop, this is the top of the line. Look at the reviews, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to learn more about the Strix Scar, click the link in the pinned comment or do some reviews over on YouTube. This thing is frying the competition, and I'm frying in game with it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the rest of today's video and start talking about the settings. Okay, so we're going to be talking about a lot here today. Let's go ahead and start off with the overall graphics settings. Then you don't want to miss out on some of the specific changes happening to keyboard and mouse, and then wait until the end. We'll cover the Windows settings as well, because that's some of the most important stuff that we have to cover. Okay, so for the graphics settings, we're going to go into the display. We want to be rocking exclusive full screen. I'm rocking the PG279QM, which is Asus 1440p 240 hertz IPS monitor. I will be getting their 1440p OLED here in the near future. I rock 1440p. This is all going to be based on you and your individual PC, but not too much of this are you going to change. I don't rock HDR. Where we do start changing things is over on the quality side. So render resolution is going to be at 100. Fidelity FX cast is either going to be 90 or 100 or anywhere in between. Just kind of base it off of yours. I notice a huge difference. Please, please, please rock. It's going to cause a minor adjustment, right? So the end goal for these graphics settings are to have the most beautiful looking game without sacrificing performance. So yes, you could maybe eke out an extra 5% here or there by just going low across the board on everything, but your game's going to look like crap. This is one of the ones that really, really matters, okay? We're going to rock Filmic SMA 2X, okay? Or T2X. Anti-aliasing quality is going to be at normal, and video memory scale is going to be at 90. Texture resolution, this is one of those where you get a lot of gain in texture without actually hurting your performance too much. Go ahead and rock normal here. It's going to be normal for the texture filter anisotropic, and then low. Distant level of detail is going to be high. Clutter draw distance will be short. Particle quality low. Very low. Bullet impacts are going to be on. Persistent damage layers I have off. Basically, when explosions and things happen on the screen, it'll continue to show like damage. And honestly, it just makes it harder to see people. I want the background to be as simplified as possible so I can see the outlines of my opponents, so I can track them easier. When you get into these in-building gunfights where there's so much smoke and explosion, it's just clutter. Okay. Bullet impacts, I think, is really useful because I do a lot of recoil testing, but you can turn that off. It will hurt your performance by just a little bit. You can remove that if you want. Shader quality is going to be medium. Tessellation will be near, and then on-demand texture streaming will be off. Streaming quality will be normal. Doesn't matter, we're not using it. Volumetric quality will be low. Deferred physics quality will be off, and then water quality is default. This is a new one where they added water caustics, wetness, and you can add both. When I tested it in game, it only made it more kind of like muddy to try to see people through it because it makes it, more immersive, but I'm just trying to see through so I can shoot some people in water. I just left it on default. Shadow map will be normal. Screen space will be off. Spot and spot cache will both be on low, as well as particle lighting. And ambient occlusion will be off. Screen space reflections off. Static will be low. Weather grid will be low. NVIDIA Reflex on plus boost is a safe bet for anybody's PC. If you know what's going on here in terms of whether you're CPU or GPU limited, it kind of explains it here. If you are CPU bound, you can go and rock on plus boost. Most people are going to be GPU bound on this game. And I just rock on plus boost anyways to just keep my GPU clock high at all times. Basically, it's going to be using more performance to keep that boost clock on, which is going to cost you more on an energy bill, but I would rather have frames than pay a couple extra quarters every month. So it prevents some potential stutters by having on plus boost. Off on all these, man. No film grain, no weapon blur. You don't want any of that crap. It's just gonna blur up the game. I rock my field of view of 117. There's a conspiracy theory out there that if you rock 120, it kills your aim assist, and I went with it. Yeah, I rock 117. ADS field of view is affected. Weapon field of view is wide. That makes the gun appear smaller on your screen. Also makes you feel like you're running a little bit faster. Third person, RIP that game mode. I don't even see it anymore. Vehicle field of view will be wide. And then make sure you change this. Change your first person movement to least. That's all the weapon bobbing and the explosions. It actually takes away a lot of that jarring feeling playing this game. Game perspective will be your default camera whenever you're spectating somebody, so it'll actually be aimed down sight. But whenever they get into a vehicle, it bugs out and it goes back to the helmet camera every single time. Anyways, so just get ready. You are going to have to switch that. Okay, moving over to audio. Audio mix is really important here, okay? There's a lot of incredible videos out there. I'm going to link one of my buddy's channel for 2 reasons, okay? Check it out after this video. And this is like high level stuff, right? His name is ArtIsWar. He's helped me out. He's helped out the community a lot. He was an ex-videographer for like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Extremely technically smart guy. So use this as a baseline, go through all of my settings, and then in his videos, he goes into the mega weeds for both audio optimizations and color filter optimizations, and those will be mentioned at the end of today's video. Okay, so gameplay music, turn it down. Music is only going to clutter up what you hear both in-game, in the menus, and then also in the final circle, they start playing like suspenseful music. Nah, I'm trying to hear footsteps, okay? Voice chat volume I have turned down really low because even proximity chat can blow out my eardrums while I'm trying to listen for footsteps. And then dialogue volume I have turned down to 50, but honestly I could turn it down to like 40 or even 20. That's the guy that's going to be yelling in your ear of like enemy airstrike. I already have a giant banner that covers like most of my crosshairs whenever an airstrike comes in, so I really don't need any of this voice, but it's not bad for like, you know, enemy dropping in notifications. So I do keep it there for that reason, because you don't get a visual notification when enemies are dropping in. This is all going to be based off of you and your individual setup. This is how I have it set up for prox chat if you want prox chat to work. One thing that I changed that a lot of people don't change, okay, is hit marker sound effects. I have hit marker sound effects turned off. The reason being is I think hit markers make kind of like a low thudding noise whenever they hit a target, like and that's kind of like, for me, I think this audio engine sucks. And I think footsteps are like lowest on the totem pole. And so for me, I remove everything that I can. I remove music, and I also remove hit marker sound effects. So that way I don't have anything potentially cluttering someone sneaking up from behind me. On top of that, I also do the reduced tinnitus sound because I don't like the high ear piercing noise. Okay, moving over to interface. A lot of great stuff in here. Okay, so the color customization, if you're on console, what I would suggest is rocking filter 2. That's the equivalent of Deuteranopia. Rock both, and 100, 100. You can actually cycle through and see the difference that it makes when you have no filter on versus having the filters on. And it adds a little more vibrance and pop to your game. I use filters on top of this that Art has, and once again, check that out at the end of today's video. And that's what I use. Some people use the vertical heads-up display. Basically, by lowering this, it will bring in the mini-map. It'll bring in the kill count. Me personally, since I'm a YouTuber first, I want the normal viewing experience for everyone who's watching me playing. So I leave it at 100. That is an option if you feel like you're looking up too much and you're taking your eyes off the center of your screen to do your cross check for your ammo, your armor, your kills, your radar, I would go ahead and decrease that. Just give it a try. Always make sure you're rocking square there. And then some of the other things that I rock are down here. So telemetry, add what you want here. So you'll see I have FPS, latency, packet loss, GPU time, CPU time. That's how you'll know whether or not you're CPU or GPU bound. Whichever one is taking longer, that is your bottleneck, right? So that means my CPU is taking 6 milliseconds to render a frame. My GPU is taking 3 milliseconds. So my GPU is just kind of like sitting there, like, bro, what are we doing? We're waiting on the CPU. Okay. And I think I said we were largely GPU bound. I actually think it's the inverse. It's been a while since I really dug into the weeds on the timings there, but that is a good way to tell with your individual system, no matter what your specs are. When you're in game and you're actually dropping into the map, whichever one is higher, that's more than likely your bottleneck. RAM also plays a factor, and a whole bunch of other things. There's a whole bunch of PC optimizers out there if you want to get into the super weeds. But other things I will say, turn off gameplay tips. I hate when they pop up on your screen. It's really annoying. Skip introduction movie if you want to get into game faster. That's something you can do as well. Make sure you have these on because it will help you diagnose whether you're having internet issues. Most of the time right now, it is not your internet that's the issue. It is these servers that are the issue because these servers are down bad. Parallax effects, make sure you turn it off. It will affect your gameplay performance significantly. Inverted flash. Some people have this on, and basically what happens is when you get hit by a flash, your screen will turn black instead of turning white. For me, as much as I hate getting flashbanged, when my screen turns black due to an inverse flash, I think that I got like dev-aired because I'm so used to my screen turning black from dev-airing over the last 3 years of playing this incredibly optimized game. I lose full. So I don't do that. Okay. Let's move over to mouse and key. Okay. For mouse and key, I use 1440p, 800 GPI, and 2.9 cents. Basically, for me, what I say is one flick of the mouse is a 180 for me. So no matter what game I play, it is 180 degrees for one flick. So if I want to do 360, I just do 2 flicks of the mouse. Whatever's comfortable for you based off of your arm length, based off your desk setup. For me, I think that's a great way. A lot of people play one flick as a 360, so you can just flick into a 360. Whatever works for you. I'm more of a low sense player. Everything else here should be the same. Make sure your monitor distance coefficient is at 1.33. For the gameplay, crouch is going to be toggle. When you press it once, you toggle. Press it again, you're back up. Prone behavior is go to. And I have a specific button bound to prone. We'll go over my keybinds here in a second. That's going to allow you to drop shot much faster. That's one of the few advantages that PC players have, and that is the go to prone button. Sprint behavior, though. This is key, okay? We do not want, and this is going to be for controller as well, we do not want automatic tactical sprint. Automatic tactical sprint was a big deal in Warzone 1, okay? Turn it off in Warzone 2. It's going to get you killed, okay? You are punished for moving in this game, and I hate it to my core, but we have to understand this is their philosophy, right? This is the game that they're building, and this is the way they're making the game. So you just got to adapt, and you just got to understand Warzone 2 is a different game from Warzone 1, and you have to change a lot, including your settings. So what we do is we turn off automatic tactical sprint, because if we're trying to challenge someone around a corner and we get that gun up into the tac sprint animation, dude, it takes so long to get that gun down, you're going to get punished. So what we do is we have it off so that way we can walk and then get our gun up much faster, because there is a walking aim down sight, there's a sprinting aim down sight, and there is a tactical sprinting aim down sight. All three have different delays. So we're going to automatic tactical sprint off, and then we're going to put on single tap run. What that allows us to do is we can walk and challenge quickly, but if we want to move quickly, single tap run is tactical sprint. Okay, don't get it twisted. It's not sprint. Single tap run, and one click of L3, or one click in this case of shift on your keyboard, will take you off and get you sprinting. Close backpack on sprint, I have that. Automatic airborne mantle, make sure you have that off. Slide and dive inputs are independent. That is a nice thing that keyboard and mouse has as well. Movement advanced settings. Walk behavior is hold. Walk speed is fast. Sprinting door bash is on. Plunging freely. And then off, because I hate all of the auto mantles. They actually fixed that in the game. Thank goodness. Movement advanced settings, we already went into there. This is all based off of your personal preference, but I will say armor plate, make sure you apply all. And that's pretty much all we're going to have there. Depleted ammo weapon switch I have off because I don't want the gun to switch for me. I'm always tracking how much ammo I have in my guns, and then I want to manually swap. And when I manually swap, if you have that on, what will end up happening is you double swap. The game will swap for you, and then you go to swap out of good habit, and then it'll double swap back to your weapon with no ammo. So I just have it off. Sprint cancels reload, or sprint pauses reload. You want that if you're in the middle of reloading, but you want to move. It's sprint, and it'll get you out of that reload animation and going faster as well. Quick C4 animation is going to be off. And then also weapon mount exit delay. You want this to be short. It defaults to medium. Basically, it makes it to where there is no delay. There's as little delay if you're mounted up to quickly getting off that as possible. If you feel like you're ever mounted and you're kind of like stuck there for a second, make sure it's put on short as well. And then for keybinds, I'll show you the ones that I have different. So prone for me is on the mouse here. So that way, when I press the rear button, it slams me to the ground as fast as I possibly can. I am not a C croucher. I'm a left control croucher. For next weapon, normally I only use 2, but right now I have to have my next weapon have my scroll wheel, because if you're unable to zoom in with your scroll wheel, it's based off of this. It's really weird, but if you don't have your forward scroll wheel and rear scroll wheel bound, it won't let you scroll in and out on the mini map. It's a bug. They're going to fix it, but it's still just annoying. Weapon mount is Z, melee is E, lethal equipment I have when I click my mouse wheel. That way, when I click my mouse wheel, I can aim, and then I release my mouse wheel when I want to throw that grenade. It makes throwing grenades very accurate. Armor plate for me is 4. Backpack is tab. Show map is B or M, but that's also just based off of my little half keyboard that I have rocking over here. And then ping is my forward mouse button. So forward is ping and rear is prone. Push to talk I have set up on the foot pedals underneath my desk. If you've seen my setup tour before, you know I just step on a foot pedal to do all my push to talk from there. Oh, one other thing that I did miss, and this one's really important for this update, there's a new setting called change zoom shared input. Okay, and by default, it'll be sprint, tactical sprint, focus. And what that means is, at least for me, my sprint is left shift. That also means that if I wanted to change my zoom, I would also use left shift. So if you're ever using a variable zoom scope, or maybe you're using an offset canted sight, and you would be in the middle of a gunfight and you would be running to sprint, and you would go to engage someone, and then you would be shooting through your red dot, and then you would go to sprint, and it would switch to your high optic zoom, and then you'd go and sprint, and then you go to engage in a close range gunfight, and all of a sudden you're looking through like a sniper scope. Or if you're, you know, a sniper and it's just, you're running to sprint and you're jumping, and all of a sudden your zoom goes way in because you press shift. All that being said, that annoying, super annoying sprint sharing the same button with your actual changing zoom is now fixed. Okay. Mouse and key has a nice option. You can either actually change the button altogether. You can individually bind a keybind, or for me, I'll just put it to melee because I'm hardly ever meleeing in the game, and I'm not going to melee at the same time that I'm aiming down sight. And so that is a significantly better option than what we had in the past. All right, let's go over to the controller section. Okay, so for the controller section, you know that I have my SCUF controller. I use paddles on the back of the controller that allow me to remap the face buttons. I also use digital triggers. So basically, like, these are little mouse clicks instead of actual full up trigger clicks. Or like fully pressing down, and that'll get important when we get into the dead zone later. So controller vibration is off. My controller vibration is removed, so my controller is actually a lot more lightweight because of that. I rock 6.85 for my multiplier. Aim down sight behavior is hold. Oh, in one other controller setting, and this one is huge for this update, okay? It is the change zoom shared input. We just talked about it over on the mouse and key. This is the setting that changes how you switch your optic. So whether it's you're using a variable zoom sniper scope that allows you to zoom in, zoom out, right? You would be using L3. You'd be using your sprint button to change that optic of the zoom. Or if you were using, let's say, a offset or a canted sight where you've got maybe a high optic zoom, and then you flip the camera, you flip the gun over and you're looking through a red dot, you would typically use L3. The only problem is that if I'm in the middle of a gunfight, I may press the sprint button to run up and close the distance and then get my gun back up. And sometimes during that, you'd go to press sprint and your gun would change your optic in the middle of the gunfight and it would cost you. You'd be way too zoomed in when you're trying to use your red dot or vice versa. You can now change it to where it sets to melee, which you're hardly ever going to be pressing the melee button while you're aiming down sight, right? And so it's a significantly better option. And if you want to prevent that variable zoom or that change zoom optic from totally scamming you, switch this over to melee. This was a huge change for this update. Once again, automatic sprint is off, but we'll get into the advanced. We have single tap sprint turned on over there. So aim assist type is default. Obviously, you want to have your aim assist on. I use dynamic aim response curve. And then input dead zones, have it as low as you possibly can. I think I could even put mine lower than this if I wanted to, but make sure you have your inputs as low as you possibly can. Basically, go into the firing range, set your dead zone to, let's say, 0.5, and then just don't touch your controller. If you see your stick drifting, just increase it a few. Okay, and then once you increase it and it stops moving, that's your lowest dead zone. So you just increase it by a couple at a time until you find your true dead zone. For the triggers, you can have them set as low as you want. My triggers are binary, right? So since they're digital, it's either on or off. There is no threshold. It's just 0 or 100. So anytime I press this trigger, I know it's going to be going off. Okay, we're not doing anything with gyro or behavior, but this is where it gets really important. Again, once again, we're not going to use auto attack sprint, but we are going to use single tap run. Make sure all of this grounded mantle stuff is off, and invert your slide and dive behavior. Right now, sliding is still completely useless. So what we want is to be able to dive quickly. So when I press circle one time, I am dolphin diving, which not only allows me to get into cover quicker, but it also allows me, if I'm running towards a cliff, I can press circle once and then X and then pull up my parachute really fast, which works out really well with these paddles on the back of the controller. I can just go circle X with my paddles and then I'm in there. Auto deploy is off, sprinting door bash is on, ledging is on, and all of this is pretty standard. But once again, make sure we set this to short, and you can move off. So that way you're aiming, you're mounted up, and then the second you want off, there is a short delay instead of what is default, a medium delay. Outside of that, everyone else should have pretty much all of this standard as well. Okay, so that covers everything in game, but there's also some really important settings that you need to be changing outside of game as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to go into your Windows settings, and in your Windows settings, you can just type the word game. Okay, you're going to go to your game mode settings and make sure you have game mode on. It actually optimizes your PC for how you play your games. But on top of that, you're going to go to the game bar and you're going to make sure you have that crap off. That is a Microsoft little widget that has a whole bunch of stuff running in the background. It's just going to slow down your PC. Then we're going to go over to graphics settings and make sure we have hardware accelerated GPU scheduling on. These all in combination will improve the performance of your PC, but it doesn't stop there. You're going to go down once again, type in power, and you're going to adjust your power and sleep settings. So go here, go to additional power settings, and you're going to choose your power plan. Most people will be set to balanced. Okay, that's great if you want to, save on your electricity bill, but if you can, go to high performance, and if you really can, go to ultimate performance, no holds barred. It will juice your PC to make sure it's not doing any energy saving things, and it will give the full power that you need to your GPU. On top of that, for my NVIDIA users, right click, go to NVIDIA control panel. If you don't have this, that's a big problem. That means you likely don't have GeForce Experience. You need to make sure you have either GeForce Experience or the manual drivers updated and downloaded. Make sure you update your drivers. That literally goes without saying. Go in here, go to your global settings. And then for your global settings, you're going to go to your power management and prefer maximum performance. Once you do that, you would go down to the right and click apply, and then you'll be set on that. Now, there's a lot of rabbit holes that you can go down, whether it's RAM timing, CPU overclocked, GPU overclocked. I honestly wouldn't suggest doing any of that, at least not initially. Test out these settings, see how your frame rate has improved. And frankly, if you're watching this video and you have kind of like a before and after, let me know down in the comments what your frames were before and after this. if you want to go into the weeds, feel free. There's plenty of people you can reach out to on Twitter that do PC optimization. Just beware, a lot of people don't know what the hell they're doing, and they might screw with your PC, okay? Make sure you're going through a trusted source. My best bud, Foves, who was really into this, was also an Air Force guy. Now he's going to work with Amazon. He no longer does it commercially. He only kind of does it for some friends. I can ask around and see if there's a good, reputable person. If you want to know, hit me up over on Twitch. That link will be in the description. But test this out. Let me know what you think. And also check the pinned comment, okay? If I make any mistakes in this, or if I make any changes that are optimizing, you know, my performance in game, I will let you know updates via the pinned comment. While you're in the pinned comment, you can once again check out the sponsor of today's video, and that is Asus ROG. They are my PC sponsor, and for good reason. I had a lot of other people reaching out to me that wanted to sponsor me, and I wanted nothing but Asus, man. I have been hunting down this company to be a partner for years, and I'm thrilled to be partnering with them. They make the best in the business, and this Scar, do your research on it. Check it out in the pinned comment. It is a beast, man. Crazy performance for a mobile laptop, even though it's only using the mobile i9s and the mobile RTX like 3080. It's incredible the power that this thing can put out and how quiet it is. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up today's video, okay? Hope you guys learned something. If you did, if you're getting a better performance, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe for even more, because we're gonna have a lot of tips and tricks heading into Warzone 2 Ranked. I am so dang excited. We've been waiting a long time for Ranked, and for Academy content, it's just so fitting. So appreciate the love, everyone. We're finally settled into the new house, ready to go in the forever home for future content. I'm feeling good, ready for Warzone 2 Ranked and all things World Series of Warzone. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all live over on Twitch. Peace.